It seems slightly odd, given how competitive GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club is, to be coming to Barcelona with the Silver Cup already wrapped up. But on the Nürburgring, it went the way of Robert Consigny and Benjamin Lariche after many seasons of trying, perennial bridesmaids, they felt, but they have done it. And so they come here without the pressure, but they're looking for more race wins. Second in silver still to be decided, but Pro-Am and Am are up for grabs, and some of the work might be able to be done in these two qualifying sessions that are coming up here at the Circuit de Catalunya. We have the grids to be formed for both races across these sessions, which are going to be split with the first 10 minutes for silvers and the second 10 minutes for the Pro-Ams and Ams. There's a point for pole position, of course, as long as you're registered for points. There are a few guests that aren't eligible, therefore, for the point. We'll worry about that if it becomes appropriate. What is going to be worth focusing on is just how busy the road is and how competitive the times are going to be. It might be late in the season, but even so, it's a 40-strong entry that we've got here at Barcelona. David Addison and Joe Osborne are trackside in the sunshine as this monster grid pours down the pit lane.
Phenomenal to have 40 cars for the last rounds, and you're right, it's 23.2 air and the track is rising quickly now at 25 degrees. This is the third session of the day for the Barcelona circuit. The drivers in the first laps, but no tyre ovens, so they've got to bring the temperature up, and that normally takes the out lap at least.
Nico Ferrarant looking on as the cars make their way to the teams. They don't have the pit garages, of course. That's for the GT World Challenge Europe team. So these come from the paddock to the assembly area, then down the pit lane, and the teams await. And very shortly, Joël Dorval, who is the race director, will give the instruction that we can get the session underway. And there are two sessions in two groups, if you like. So silvers first for Q1, 10 minutes. You don't get many laps in 10 minutes, so you've got to be on it.
You really do, and traffic will be a problem potentially too, so teams will want to try and help their drivers find that space. You can see the Borissan Automotive BMWs looking mighty fine in that lovely, now official BMW blue.
The Turkish team, which still has a chance of taking second in silver because the car of Gabriele Piana and Beke Besler, number 12, is fighting with the Toyota Supra of Jan Duran and Hadrien David, who's also been busy this year in LMP3 machinery in the Le Mans Cup. They're looking down the pit lane. You've got the number 1 Ford Mustang. That's the car that Nathan van Springel will drive. In the background, number 96, the Continental Racing by Simpson Motorsport car, Vasily Vladikin and Mikhail Loboda's BMW M4 that dashed back from the Nürburgring to a BRDC track day at Silverstone last month. Davide Meloni sharing as ever with his dad, Paolo, in number 48 BMW. That's the view out of the front as the car controller awaits the signal. The fast lane is open. That enables the drivers to queue in the fast lane if they are in Group A. In other words, they are silvers. And 10 minutes they will get very shortly once the session goes live. As ever, the good variety of car: Ford, Porsche, Audi, Aston Martin, BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Ginetta, Lotus, and the session with, yes, one lone McLaren also to add in, will be underway very shortly. Igor Sorokin sharing the Mercedes AMG with the American driver Keith Gatehouse, one of the NM Racing Team cars, a local team based just around the corner. So very shortly we can have a green light on at the end of the pit lane to get things underway. In the Pro-Am battle, Alexander Weintraub, Stanislav Safronov leading by 8 points from Hendrik Still and Joachim Bolting. In Am, Max Kronberg and Daniel Blickler are 10 ahead of Anthony de Barn and Julien Leandri. Max Kronberg looking to make history by winning back-to-back titles. He was the Pro-Am champion last year, and he could be the Am champion this year. Right, green flag is now waved in the pit lane. Green lights go on, and the cars now make their way down the pit road. So for the first part of Q1, outpour the silver class cars. You've got silver, Pro-Am and Am, and a real mix as well. Silver, I think, is the more numerous, and certainly it's one of the most competitive of the categories. We know how much of a lottery qualifying is, and therefore to give the classes a bit of breathing space like this has been a popular move.
Yeah, really good to allow drivers to get a clean lap in is important. There you can see the Porsche of Hendrick still and Joachim Bolton being pushed back. The new tyres with those stickers on the treads showing they're ready to push. Some Motorsport having to get their 96 BMW in position as well.
Indeed, so looking for a gap in the traffic. Won't be that long before perhaps one or two cars elect to come in and just do a minor adjustment before going for a time. But right now, it's a case of getting things up to temperature, and you've got to do this in the right way. You can't go all guns blazing and attack, otherwise you might sort of overuse the tyre initially. So there's a knack, isn't there, to bringing everything up to temperature. Yeah,
and if you push too hard, you get the surface of the tyre right, but the pressure isn't ready in the tyre, and that's the problem. And as a driver, early on in the weekend, you make the call with the team, with your co-driver. Is it an out lap and then you're ready to push, or is it an out lap and then a prep lap, then push? Here at Barcelona, because it's hard on tyres and it's warm, you typically get away with the former, just this out lap to prep the car. But how slow these BMWs are going, it maybe looks like they're going for this plus one lap to get the tyre ready.
That's confirmation of what I was saying a few moments ago about the fight for second in silver being Gabriele Piana and Berke Bechler, who's at the wheel, versus Jan Duran and Hadrien David in the Toyota Supra. And the Toyota will be Jan Duran for this first part of qualifying. Gabriele Piana and Berke Bechler ahead by just 5 points. Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consony too far ahead to be caught. They're the champions, but second in silver very much up for grabs. And Berke Bechler, the Turkish driver, comes over the timing line now, goes through and heads into the right-hander of turn one, and this still looks like a prep lap.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see they're not using the curbs. That's because they don't want to damage the tyre while the pressure's low. They're also putting zero load through the front or rear axle, not to work the tyre too hard. So it is an extra prep lap, and that might be a difference with some cars. So some cars might be pushing and they'll have to keep an eye on their mirrors, but also you want to stay on the clean part of the racing line. They've already seen a huge amount of marbles forming off the racing line, so you need to keep your car on the clean part of the circuit.
So gradually things being brought to temperature. There you've got Toyota, McLaren, Ford and Audi, underlining the variety. Add in Mercedes AMG, and gradually times we will see, but the clock ticks on down. 16.5 minutes just over on the clock, but bear in mind that you only get 10 minutes of track time, so we're already down to 6.5 for these drivers. Callum Davis there in the 812 McLaren going through. That the RAFA Racing Club by Race Lab entry. Callum Davis sharing with Charlie Hart.
Yeah, they've been strong pace-wise. They finished up pre-qualifying fastest yesterday, 1:49.7. So a bit of good target time for these drivers training for in this qualifying. Expected to be low 49s, but the track has just seemed very slow this morning in the other sessions on there. You can see the drivers warming themselves up as much as the tyres.
That's the BMW with Jean-Mathieu Leandri at the wheel. So to the end of the lap now comes Berke Bechler, and now we'll see whether all the prep is done and he's happy to pull the pin, as it were. It does look as though that car is a bit more competitive now as it comes out of turn 14 and over the timing line. So Berke Bechler and Jagish Gedik go through onto a proper flying lap. Behind them there is going to be Roberto Faria. He goes by then in the Mirage Racing Aston Martin. So let's keep an eye on Berke Bechler then and see what he can do in the sectors, and indeed what this lap is going to be. Yesterday when they had the pre-qualifying session, it was the Charlie Hart, Callum Davis McLaren that was the fastest on a 1:49.717. So that's the target.
Yeah, there's a good line in the sand. The BMW's running line astern, nicely gapped between where they won't be getting any dirty air. And that fastest sector one now stolen by the BMW of Faria, and a big snap of oversteer there under braking.
Yeah, a big twitch, wasn't there? As you see Jagish Gedik go through in number 11 BMW. Benjamin Lariche then, without any pressure now, already crowned champion. He's done the absolute best in the first sector in the number 3 Audi. So the BMWs riding the curb there. Berke Bechler coming up the hill, out then from the turn 7-8 sequence through 9, and then the road drops a little bit. You've got this fast straight down towards turn 10, and then you're into the long looping left and a long looping right. So from 10 up the way to 12, you've got to get the line absolutely right. You can waste a lot of time on that part of the circuit.
Yeah, purple sector's being traded. It's now Van der Ende with the purple sector 3 and the fastest lap so far of the session, but that lap time is going to fall a long way. It's 1:54 at the moment. I think it definitely will be sub 1:50, although it is very slippy out there for everyone as we pick up Lariche in this updated livery, paying homage to their championship.
Yeah, the gold and the silver, and it looks different for sure after so many years of being used to their original livery. Team Speed Cars worked so hard to give them a championship. Now, Berke Bessler goes across the line, but the lap that he has just done has been cancelled because of track limits. So this is where the drivers are, that's on him. You've got 10 minutes. By the time you've done your out lap and a prep lap, you know you're going to be on about 5 minutes. You can't afford to be wasting opportunities, because that could have been the best lap those tires were going to give him.
You're so anti-driver, aren't you? It's almost like he wasn't pushing. And turn 13 is an interesting one. As we see the Mustang through 13, you can get done for track limits on the apex and the exits. The only corner in motorsport I know where there's 2 chances to get done, and that's exactly where that lap time was taken away from. Eric Evans here going to cross the line. Where does he go? 5th at the moment, 49.8. So it's up there at the moment, 2 tenths off the fastest lap, which is Josh Rattican in the elite McLaren.
The champion of last year, and of course this car with Eric Evans, the car quivering under braking, double winner at the start of the season, and then the Mustangs seem to lose their way or suffer with the BOP, depending on who you talk to, and the net result is that they've been playing catch-up ever since. But the cars have had a good season on the whole, and they sound absolutely superb. So Berke Bessler then in number 12 BMW has to go again, because it was only that prep lap that he'd done. Josh Rattican then, last year's champion, comes through. Got a new co-driver, of course, for this year, with Tom Ledden moving on to other things. Mackenzie Cresswell up from single-seaters into GT cars. And the pair of them did have a win at the Nürburgring in the first of the 2 races there. The second one won by the Toyota Supra, finally, of Hadrian David and Jan Duran. So the McLaren looking good. It's already the fastest, and 2 purple, therefore absolute best sectors here.
Yeah, and no traffic in front for the final 2 corners. Balanced, and McLaren looking phenomenal. Very stiff setup on this elite car. You can't see much pitch or roll in it, and that seems to be allowing it a nice stable platform. And you can see the input from Rattican's hands, nice and still and composed, pushing to the line. Could this even be in the 48s? It is 48.5, phenomenal lap there from Rattican, who at the moment is nearly 9 tenths clear, although Ibanez has just improved up to 2nd.
He has indeed. So Luke Ibanez then, Spanish driver, 7 tenths, just over 7 tenths of a second back. But they're coming to the end with 90 seconds on the clock of the first part of qualifying. There is Group 2 ready to go. In other words, the Pro-Am and AMs, and they don't start behind, they merge in. So if you've got somebody there like number 32 Porsche of Hendrick Still, that car could even, in his hands, out-qualify those that we've got on track now. So it's always a really interesting and jumbled grid. Yeah, especially as the track's getting rubbered up. Rattican doing a good job of staying out the way. Here is the 15 Mercedes. We saw a good lap from them earlier. Luca Ibanez has been super fast this year and just been unlucky in the races. But you're right, I think Hendrick Still will be looking at this as the track is rubbering up. We had 18 cars in this first part, and then we've got 14 Pro-Am and 9 Am cars, so slightly busier in the second half. Will be indeed, and again that's why that segregation, if you like, takes place, so that they do all have a reasonable chance of a bit of clear track space. Way up the curb, look, Ibanez there going up through turn 7 to 8. 9 takes you over the brow, then you drop down towards a heavy braking zone into turn 10. Look, Ibanez, who has always gone well around here, he and Alex Papadopoulos have come close to a win this season, but it's not happened yet. We're better than on home soil. That is the 87 Toyota Supra with Jan Duran at the wheel of the car at the minute. This is the Spanish driver. First year we've had him in the championship. And that Josh Rattican lap, the fastest ever GT4 lap here, beating a 48.6 that he did last year. So Josh Rattican absolutely flying this morning. Lap record, although you don't count them in qualifying because they are race only, but that is the fastest ever lap, like you said, which is good. Second place for Duran here in the 87 Supra. You can see he's backed off, so he will box after the next right-hander. Rattican has really backed out. I wonder if they were low on fuel and he's having to just try and save as much as possible so they can still offer a sample to the scrutineers. Yeah, it's a good thought, that, because he is, as you say, absolutely crawling around, whereas Greg Gilbert is really pushing. Greg Gilbert was on pole position at Paul Ricard. He was on pole position at Zandvoort. Josh Rassiken's other pole came at Spa, but Greg Gilbert on a mission, isn't he? But he was down in the first sector. So has he overdriven a tad maybe on this lap? Middle sector was good. End of the lap goes through, and the lap time that Gilbert does was a 49.6. He dropped half a second somewhere in that. And that's the checkered flag done for the first part of qualifying.
Wow, look at that. The front right fully in the air, the rear right shaking like a quivering dog. And yeah, that was loose. And surprised he finished the lap, considering it was half a second off his best, but he was throwing the kitchen sink at that. Super slow-mo showing it well out of the very tight, twisty 12 section where we've seen a lot of gravel kicked up as well.
So he got away with it, but didn't help, as already into the pits has come Josh Rassiken to give way to Mackenzie Cresswell. Gives them time to cycle through that driver change without any fuss, assuming all is well. As you were making the point, it was a very slow in-lap, but assuming all is good, then that change of driver can now happen. There is the Nathan van Springel Mustang heading for the pits. Others, though, now trying to get through the traffic and bring their tyres up to temperature, as you see the cars out of Pro-Am and Am, with Hendrik still, inevitably, a man on a big, big push here in number 32 Porsche. Yeah,
he's been in phenomenal form this season. The Porsche has been strong, and that's why you're seeing so many teams using Porsches there. The 7 car as well, the Aston Martin, has been super strong at times, has been really up there with both drivers, be it Safronov or Weintraub.
There is, with his back to you, Benjamin Lariche. Robert Consonny gets ready to go. Two totally contrasting styles, aren't you? Benjamin Lariche, who always looks rather studious, and Robert Consonny, the former rally driver, a lot more laid back about life, it always seems. And he will take over for Q2. So how far up the order might we get Hendrik still in the Porsche Cayman, for example, because we know how fast he is?
P4 is going to be my guess.
Okay.
He's going to get onto the second row.
Josh Rassiken's very happy about life. And for the Elite Motorsport team, job done. And provisional pole it is. And 0.6 of a second as a margin. That's quite something.
Yep, and illegal jewellery that he's obviously just put on after he's got out of the car, luckily for him, so he won't attract a penalty for that, I'm sure. But yeah, job done. Couple of laps. Nice way to start your Saturday morning.
So session continues with another 7 minutes still on the clock as far as the Pro-Ams and Ams are concerned. So their track now becomes a bit clearer because you take a further 16 cars off the road. They overlap just briefly on an outlap for these cars, the in-lap for the Silvers, and then the road calms down a little. But in this context, we're now looking at the Stanislav Safronov versus Hendrik Still situation, and Still ought to be the quicker of the two as there Vasily Vladikin comes towards us, chased by number 66 Toyota, which will be the Gabriele Yelkova and Cindy Goudet entry.
Just seem like most cars are doing the outlap and then a prep lap, aren't they, as we go on board with the 48 car. This is the prep lap, just weaving left to right, maybe not putting enough energy in the left to right motion. Needs to be a bit more forceful to make sure you are generating the energy and potentially trying to get past the BMW front as well, just trying to get some space. But it's rather crowded in this cluster of cars.
Davide Meloni there, number 48 BMW, finding traffic fore and aft. We've only got 5.5 minutes of this session to go. Victor Bouveng is ahead, and the Cayman having a look at the inside there to try to go through. Maximilian Huber in the AV racing car. Gabriele Yelkova then comes across the line. Now we're starting to put these into context. Actually, it's the Lotus that's fastest so far. There it is, of Stefano D'Aste. He has not had a pole position yet, but Alberto Nasca, his co-driver, has had 3. So the Lotus has always shown good pace, and it finally came good, didn't it, in the second race at Spa to score victory there.
Yeah, and it looks like the tyres are already done. This was an outlap push and fading at the moment, 0.6 down you can see on the graphics, where Still is now winding up. Huge slide there from D'Aste all the way through the corner there up to the sausage curb. The suspension will not like that. And can he improve sector 2? This car can. Hendrik Still at the moment, you can just see he's a tenth and a bit off in sector 1, nearly 4/10 off in 2. That is from the pole sitting McLaren of Rattigan.
With its circus livery, the clown on the side, who's had a lot to cheer about this year, because this car was victorious at Paul Ricard in both races at Zandvoort, in one of the Spa races as well. So it's been a good season, and Hendrik Still comes up over the timing line, and that's going to put him up to 2nd overall.
Lost the lap straight away
because of track limits. He had been on pole at Paul Ricard, he'd been on pole at Zandvoort and at Spa, so now he needs to go again. And come back to the point, you can't afford to junk laps when you've got so little time available.
Yeah, and the tyre will have dropped off now, so we'll keep an eye on his sectors as he exits turn 3. Very, very wide. There isn't a track limit camera there, though, so he might not lose it. There is some evidence against him that we've just broadcast, of course, but that isn't one of the monitored corners.
It doesn't look like he's going that quickly either now, and being so far off the road, one wonders whether he thought he'd done the lap and therefore could back out of it, and the team now need to say, hang on, no, that lap's gone, you need to push on again. Or is he having a slower lap just to give the tyres a breather and then go again, with that news having come through?
Yeah, we caught it on the exit of 13. I thought he'd kept it just legal on exit and had one wheel on the white line. The officials may disagree with it, and it may have been a different corner, of course.
Turn 10 is what they're citing, so Hendrik Still, turn 10 was where he'd lost that lap time.
Which is an interesting one. That's the slow hairpin in the middle, and drivers tend to cut the inside there, just go shorter distance. It's not one of those typical exit corner losses which you're seeing there at turn 9.
So let's have a look and see what this gaggle of drivers does. You look there at Stanislav Safronov, number 7. That's the other car fighting for Pro-Am honours in the championship, and he's backed out of that because of the traffic ahead. So Safronov just eases the pace a little bit as Edwin Helston here comes towards the end of the lap, turn 14. Ahead of him, by the look of it, is Hendrik Still, who now just needs a lap, really, in order to get something on the board. And Hendrik Still will go over the timing line, and the lap that Still does is a 51.8, so he's 32nd overall, so that is not good. He does get another chance to go again, but he's running out of options here.
He really is. He's got 2 more laps maximum, isn't he, until he takes the checkered flag, so he'll have to dig deep in a car that's probably lost a second of pace now the tyre has dropped off.
The Ginetta there from the CMR stable of the Mojica brothers, Hugo and Thibaut. Ginetta with a presence in GT4 and GT2 here this weekend. 27 Porsche is the Max Huber and Arthur Rassa car. One of the guests for the weekend, the AV Racing car, comes up towards the line. So right now, the best out of this session is the Edwin Helston number 2 Porsche, up to 4th. And Hendrik Still, who we were suggesting might be top 6, currently in 35th.
Yeah, and that will be frustrating for him. His sector 1 is okay though, Hendrik Still, so he's got a chance of getting that car somewhere inside the top 10 if he keeps it hooked up at the moment. Car looking okay through turns 9. Is it legal on the exit? It is legal. One wheel has to be in contact with the track or the white line at all times. Next corner is where he lost it due to track limits, and I think it was the cut on the inside. Let's see how it looks this time. And to me, that's crossed. You could see curb, couldn't you, between the outside of his tyres and the track, and that could be another loss at turn 10.
Let's have a look then. There's the message line that gives this information to the team. So Hendrik Still continues to push. Nothing up yet, so maybe he's got away with that. But to our eyes, yeah, he cut it. And cancellation of current lap for turn 10. Hendrik Still is going to be censored for it, so that's another lap gone, and the car is down to 36. Now, Hendrik Still, don't forget, is effectively the pro in a Pro-Am car here. He is the gun for hire to get that as far up the order as he can to help co-driver Joachim Bolting. And right now, they're down to 36 6th in the times, make that 37th in the times now. So Henrik Still is not delivering what his co-driver is paying him for, really.
No, come for hire, around to get fired maybe instead. And that lap was only good enough for 22nd anyway. Then he's got this lap, that's it. That car isn't going to qualify, I don't think, inside the top 20 now. The tyres dropped off so much. Is he burning the fuel off for his teammate? They would have only probably fueled it for the first 2 or 3 laps. Ed Ives there laughing at his competitors. He can't believe how easy this session has turned out to be.
Josh Rattigan, happy man. Now Mackenzie Cresswell has to try and do the same in his stint as you look at Stefan Nilsson and Victor Bouveng's car coming up to the end of the lap. Stefan Nilsson is the man behind the wheel. There, 32 then, Henrik Still, who is still pushing on. But again, 2 good laps, both ruined at turn 10. So let's see what happens this time.
Third time's a charm. We're coming up. This is the exit where we were legal last lap. Even more legal. Are the team not telling him which corner it is? Does he not know the issue? We're going to get another good shot of it. So he's cutting too much on the left. Let's have another look. That was legal, and that was legal by a car width that time. So he's finally either got the message from the team or realised the error of his ways. But yeah, sector-wise, this is not looking strong. I think this is going to be somewhere in the mid-20th positions.
So he makes the run now up towards the end of the lap. That's just about on the edge, but okay, the flag is out then. So Henrik Still comes up towards the timing line. He will take the checkered flag. 38th, the car currently is shown, and Henrik Still goes through, and it does move up the order, but only to 32nd. So there's a gain of places, but that's the session that got away from Henrik Still, 13th in class.
Yeah, my OCD likes his positions the same as the car number.
Yeah.
But shame for them that their car number is a lowly 32nd.
Yeah, they'd rather it was 1, wouldn't they, really? So Henrik Still has at least got a lap on the board, but that a real illustration of drivers, first of all, not respecting track limits and continuing to not respect, and you see the damage that it has done. Josh Rattigan, in the meantime, is a very happy man. Pole position for him for the 2nd time this year, and Alex Legui is down in the pit lane with a very happy British McLaren driver.
Josh, a brilliant qualifying for you. It feels like Barcelona serves you very well. You've got great history here.
Yeah, we've the 3 times I've been here, we have had pole position. So just adding to the tally, obviously a massive thank you for the team for setting up the car perfectly. Gave it our all and obviously ended up on top.
The car feels as good as it looked?
Yeah, I couldn't thank the guys enough. Obviously yesterday we didn't go out, unfortunately, due to an issue. I couldn't thank the guys enough for staying up all night and fixing that issue for us.
Okay, good enough for race pace then?
Fingers crossed, we'll see what we can do. Now it's time for Mackenzie and hopefully a double pole, and we'll see what we can do from there.
Good skills, thank you, well done.
Yeah, these cars race later on at the end of the day for the first of the GT4 European Series races, but prior to all of that, there's another qualifying session to come. That's for tomorrow's grid. So it is Josh Rattigan the fastest by 0.6 of a second then from Jan Duran, the Spanish driver, ahead of Greg Gilbert, and then Edwin Helston, the class pole position 4th. Luc Ibanez 5th, ahead of the Ginetta of Hugo Mojica. Benjamin Lariche, the silver champion, 7th. Stanislav Safronov 8th from Berke Bechler, and then Javier Sagreras, Toyota, comes next. Edwin Helston then the fastest in Pro-Am, and the fastest of the AMs is Rima Jafali. A little bit further down, the Jafali brother and sister crew, Rima and Ali, in the other elite motorsport McLaren. So Rima Jafali taking a class pole position. Job well done for the former single-seater racer. We have seen her switch to GT machinery in recent years, initially GT3, but now looking at GT4. So that's Q1 done. That's today's grid provisionally sorted out, and we'll get to the second batch of qualifying times in a few moments' time. There in super slow-mo, number 78 of Josh Rattigan pressing on, going through turns 7 and 8. So the first qualifying session for GT4 European Series began with the silver class cars pouring out on track. BMWs heading the way, Berke Bechler and Jagish Gedik, as Benjamin Lariche, the newly crowned silver champion, had his newly liveried Audi well wound up. Greg Gilbert was pressing on as well, but just occasionally overstepping the mark. And he wasn't the only one, as Jan Duran got the Toyota Supra sideways as well, coming up through turns 7 and 8. Josh Rattigan, though, looked very rapid indeed, and it was going to be a second pole position of the season. A car that had a problem in testing yesterday an all-nighter by Elite Motorsport has put that not only back to full strength, but quicker than anybody else could achieve. Outright pole for Josh Ratticum. The other classes took to the circuit for Pro-Am and Am qualifying. Pro-Am going to Edwin Helston and Rimal Jafali taking Am pole in another of those elite McLarens. So we are good to go for Q2 then. This is the second 20-minute period that will decide the grid for tomorrow's race. And the cars now making their way down the pit lane. Again, it's going to be the Silvers that go first. So the same cars, but different drivers aboard. So it's now Robert Consonny, for example, in the championship-winning speed car Audi. And you put Gabriele Piana, Alex Papadopoulos, for example, Benjamin Lasserne into the mix as well. Going to be interesting, this, as the cars then pour out on track.
Yeah, can it be an elite double pole now with Cresswell aboard? The Race Lab McLaren was heading out there as well, so the McLaren obviously strong here in front of a busy Barcelona crowd, and they're still flooding in as well. The car park's filling up at a very quick rate, and they're having to open more car parks than they've ever been used before for a GT World Challenge weekend.
Yeah, just going back to that McLaren, they have had a double at Spa. Josh and Mackenzie had a pole position apiece. Can they do it again? Let's find out. Number 19 Mercedes goes by. That's the Lema Racing by Mapatrol entry for Elias Niskanen and Mark Kastelich. Mark Kastelich behind the wheel. Marco Signoretti goes down the pit lane then in number 61 Mustang, letting the traffic go, trying to get clear track space. Yeah,
they're in a great bit of arena space. Academy Motorsport doing a good job of releasing that car at the right time. As you can see, the Audi still trying to work some temperature. This second quali will be easier to get them up because the brakes will still be hot, and the car going in super hard. You could hear the tyres screeching under braking there, and maybe we're going to see some push laps on the first flyer this time because of the residual heat in the brakes helping with the warm-up process.
The drivers getting on board in some cases for Pro-Am, in others Am, getting ready. As here, Robert Consonny, the former rally driver, we know can always push very early. His rally background, well, you've got to be on it straight away. Comes out of turn 14 and the Audi up towards the line. Consonny was on pole position at Zandvoort and goes by now onto a proper flying lap.
Definitely looks like he's wound up, ready to push. And sometimes as a driver, if you're not sure if the tyre's in, you'll attack the first couple of corners and then make a decision, do I finish this lap pushing or do I actually back out and go for it the next time by? And at the moment, we're all over the curbs. Car loaded up heavily into 3, firing it in through this long, long right. Hard on the throttle now, flat out. Speed rising up to 170, 180 kilometers an hour before we have to hit the brakes for the 180-degree turn 4.
Constantly sitting on the curb all the way down that short straight, wasn't he? So therefore gets the line here into turn 4, and in a moment the road will drop down the hill. So turns his way now then into that left at the bottom. Got to be careful through here because you don't want to run out too wide and compromise the run down the hill, because the next bit, 7 and 8, makes the climb. So you need good momentum through this section, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And it's important that you get on top of the curbs, but not too much that unsettles it. And so far, perfect for Consani through here. Now the fast turn number 9. Easy to drop it on the exit here. And there is a track limit sensor. We're A-OK. Look how much camber on the rear tyres. You see how much they're leaning in, try and generate more grip. Heavy brake here for the slowest corner of the lap. Again, turning in early. That's where still was illegal. Looked legal for this number 3 Audi through turn 10, though.
So Robert Consani then makes the run now up towards turn 12. How much of a push lap this is relative to a prep lap, we'll find out when he crosses the line. But I think there's still more to come from this car.
Yeah, I think this is going to be in the 48 just. I don't think it's going to get close to Mackenzie Cresswell's potential time that he's going to do. Josh Ratticum did a 48.5. Remember, this is going to be a 49.4. So the final sector falling away ever so slightly.
So for the moment, that car, the fastest, remember what went before is of academic interest, because that determines the grid for one race, this for the other. Different drivers, so you're not really comparing like for like necessarily. Across the timing line goes Paul Petit's Audi. Here is Mackenzie Cresswell then, who has not been going as quick as Consani in the sectors, and he will go through. There'll be 6th fastest at the end of that first lap, a 53.9, but there's certainly more to come from most cars, if not all.
Yeah, I think Kasani is on a push still. He's going a purple sector 1. I just wonder if the tyre's going to last 2 laps. He was quite a long way clear of his teammate. Paul Petit is a huge slide for Cresswell, as that's the first time he's properly pushed through there.
So that's going to squander a little bit of time, but he might be able to regroup from that over the rest of the lap. Comes out of 3, again, like constantly way up the curb on that run all the way down to 4. Very nearly putting the right-hand wheels onto the white line as well. Not quite, though. Turns through. Absolute best sector 1. So Cresswell, despite the slide, now is really on a good lap.
Just think dynamically this car looks great. It's got a nice steady platform, like I said. I feel like they're much stiffer than potentially they've been, and that's helping generate the grip. Normally with a low grip surface that we're seeing here at Barcelona, you go softer to help the car, but maybe they've gone the other way and given the stability to the driver through a stiff spring platform. That seems to be working well for them.
So here you've got Mackenzie Cresswell then up towards the exit of turn 9, over the brow, drop down the hill, and then all the way down to 10, speed building. It'll be hard on the brakes. He's coming towards the end of the second sector, and it's another purple. It's another absolute best. So Cresswell here looking good. He's aiming for a 49.4 to be fastest, and then there's bragging rights as to whether he can go any quicker than co-driver Josh Rattigan. But right now it's pole position in this session that's the immediate concern.
Yeah, and these cars all got less fuel than Q1. You can't refuel during the session as Paul Petit goes fastest, 49.3, steals it off his teammate. What's this car gonna do as it crosses the line? Another slide, starting to look loose for Cresswell as he crosses the line now. P1, 48.562. That's within thousandths, isn't it, of what his teammate Rattigan did.
And he takes pole position away from Paul Petit, who had it just briefly. There, number 812, Charlie Hart's McLaren, the Race Lab car, heading up towards the line. That run with the assistance of RAFA Racing Club, and he goes second. It's a McLaren 1-2 then. The margin between them is 0.4 of a second. Paul Petit was third, but now Hadrian David's Toyota, there it is, goes through. There's another quick Toyota here heading up towards the line. Look. And the car goes by to shuffle the order once again. So that was Hadrian Schwartz up then to now go 8th fastest in the Supra. Marco Signoretti with that Mustang just making the most wonderful noise as it booms past the pits. Only 15th. You'd have thought that would have been an absolute shoe-in around here with some nice long straights, but struggling.
Yeah, and you can see Rattigan there. Cresswell, 16 thousandths faster than Rattigan, so it was close, but very, very close to starting the second part of Q2.
Teams ready to release the cars, and when they do so, we'll be in business. There is Charlie Hart, who has now gone faster than Cresswell in the first sector. So Charlie Hart, another of the quick young British drivers that's come out of the Ginetta Junior Series through the GT ranks, going really well here in his first year of attacking these European circuits. Charlie Hart comes out of turn 9, and let's see in a moment or two whether it's going to be another absolute best in the middle sector for him. It's down, so it's a lap that started well, but he's dropped away a little. Robert Consonny has just improved his lap time but stays third. So Charlie Hart pressing on. He's got to find 0.4 and a bit of a second to go onto pole position, and having lost time in the middle sector, that might be a big ask.
I think so, and again, is that an illustration of the tyre dropping off and we're out wide? I think that would be a track limit at 13 anyway, so I think second is as good as they're going to get for Charlie Hart.
Comes up, crosses the line, and Charlie Hart's lap time is, as he goes through, a 48.786. It is an improvement after all that, but not good enough. He's narrowed the gap from 0.4 to 0.2, so it was good, but no cigar.
Yeah, and let's see if he keeps it anyway, but at the moment he's nearly 0.2 clear. We're seeing cars leaving through a red light. That's pretty nailed on.
Yeah.
He does come to a stop, doesn't he, afterwards, but...
He's gone through the light. Yeah, 44 Audi, I think that was it not? Which was Julien Ripert. Yes, over to the stewards. And the marshals push the car back, because he shouldn't have gone. The team releasing him, and he thought that he was being released into the session, not just into the fast lane. Right, that number 44 Audi from Team Speedcar, same stable as this, the silver champions. So Robert Consonny currently is 4th. Car that's gone well actually to be 5th is the Sergio Nicolai Audi, the Willy Motorsport car that is now 5th fastest. But Mackenzie Cresswell is making it a good day for Elite, seemingly, as Hadrian David goes second now in the Toyota Supra by 19 thousandths from Charlie Hart. So through for one more lap goes Consonny. Flag imminent, but not there yet. The Audi goes by. So you've now got McLaren, Toyota, McLaren, Audi, BMW, Ford, Toyota, BMW. That's the order. The one brand that's really struggling, it would appear here, is Mercedes AMG.
Yeah, and the Aston Martin, you would say, actually.
Yeah.
The front engine cars not seeming to be overly happy there, but then the Toyota in second and the BMW in seventh of Piana, and there is Nikolai. Just got caught up with traffic, didn't he? Charlie Hart in his way, as we can now pick up this Willie Motorsport car, the 310, with a rather distinctive livery.
Over the timing line then will come in a moment. Sergio Nikolai, absolute best in the first sector, breaks the beam, slower lap in the end, so no improvement. Nikolai stays fifth in the times. Over the timing line also there in the background goes the Toyota of Hadrian Schwarz. This is number 17 BMW. That's Benjamin Lassen going wide, and very wide, so he almost disappears out of frame, and he attacks the gravel. So bounces through it, bounces across it, bounces over it, showers the gravel into the air, and eventually Benjamin Lassen is able to navigate the car back towards the tarmac and out of the gravel trap.
Brings the gravel onto the circuit for everyone else. It's starting to form a bit of a rut there, almost a berm on the exit of 12. It's getting used so much, the exit gravel trap, very attractive to these greedy drivers.
There is then work done. Mackenzie Cresswell, pole position. So they do these very much as a team, don't they? Because when Josh last had a pole, Mackenzie did it in the next race. It's happened again here. So a double at Spa, a double at Barcelona. And the cars there then are for the silvers, done for the moment. Now it is over to the Pro-Ams and the AMs. The silvers, of course, need to be still mindful, even though their session is done, of not getting in the way. They need to be making sure they're out of the way of the cars now coming out of the pit lane, doing their preparation lap, and then going for a time.
Yeah, and they will use these tyres in the race, so they want to stay on the line. They could get cleaned up, but you'd always rather deliver the tyre back in a clean fashion. The Ginetta here coming down the hill. Is it just the livery? It just looked like it was slightly lower on its left-hand side, but I think it's just the nature of the livery of that car. All okay for the Modrica brothers.
That's right, with Thibaut and Hugo sharing that car. So number 30 Porsche comes by, Daniel Bickler, sharing with Mats Kronberg, trying to get a bit of temperature into the tyres as that car now comes over the timing line. Behind you've got Joachim Bolting. I'd love to be a fly on the wall, wouldn't you, after Hendrik Still brought the car in and had a bit of explaining to do. But there is number 32. The clown is still smiling despite Hendrik Still's dramas in the earlier session. Joachim Bolting being attacked by another of these Cayman GT4 RS Club Sports.
The Nova Sport run car, so two different teams here. You've got WS with the first two, and then Nova Sport there with the green one. Looking quite racy in this qualifying session. Interesting, the two car didn't back off at all to find some space at the end of that outlap.
So downhill comes Still. Comes Joachim Bolting, and he is on his first sort of preparation lap, so the pace will come, and Porsche's all around at the moment. So the Elite Motorsport McLaren sits in the pit lane, and Mackenzie Cresswell 4/10 quicker than anybody else in his part of qualifying. Now we'll see where the Pro-Ams and the AMs are in the order.
And all the names on the top of the roof of that Elite Motorsport car are donators to the Parkinson charity. So Elite Motorsport doing a good job with pole position and also raising money for a very good cause.
So Joachim Bolting towards us, being chased in turn there by number 2. It's Daniel Nilsson at the wheel of the car that was fastest in class in Q1 thanks to Edwin Helstein. Joachim Bolting trying not to do what his co-driver did and go all over the curbs and lose lap times, and up towards the line now come the Caymans. They go on to another flying lap of the session.
And they finally found some space, haven't they? Starting to go, and it's Bickle, the first one in that group to set a lap time in Q2B, but still winding it up, so expect the lap times continue to fall.
Keith Gatehouse's Mercedes has lost its lap before, track limits, so it's going to be another saga And you could argue that it's more prevalent in this session where you've got more of the gentleman racers, more of the AM drivers. So there, Joachim Bolting through. At the moment, he is the fastest in class, although Blickler ahead is the best of the AMs. This is a Pro-Am car. But at the end of this lap, we'll start to get a proper idea of the order. A lot of effort, it seems, being put into Bolting's car there, really working it very hard.
Yeah, he's been one of the standout AMs, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Alongside Blickler, has been really quick at times this year, and Blickler just pulling away ever so slightly. I think it's good strategy here from the WNS Motorsport team to put Blickler in front as a bit of a carrot to Joachim Bolting to chase down, and at the moment Blickler probably is going to be 3 or 4 tenths quicker by the end of the lap, and that's why that gap ever so slightly growing between those first 2 Porsches in shot.
Yeah, Bolting has not been a driver with a pole position to his name this year. That has always been the domain from that car of Henrik Still, but Bolting himself has raced well and has got faster and faster as the year has gone on. Daniel Blickler then, who is in the AM category, sharing with Max Kronberg, and indeed looking to try to win that class in the championship, because that car 10 points ahead of the Jean-Mathieu Leandri, Anthony de Barn BMW. So Blickler up towards the line, 17th overall. That car is provisionally right now. He will break the beam, and Blickler stays 17th, and the lap time is a better one, a 1 minute 50.478.
Yeah, it's a competitive lap time from the AM class car there, as another Porsche 31 car, Alaiha there. Ali Jafari crosses the line in the sister Elite Motorsport, goes 16th fastest of this Q2B session thus far.
That's the fastest time, therefore, in Q2B. So Jafari in the AM class, fastest by 3 thousandths from the Will Orton Aston Martin that was in silver. So very tiny gap between them. Right, there is Alberto Nasca, who has also been rapid this season. Nasca has taken 3 pole positions in the Lotus. He's up to 21st in the times, and that for the moment is going to put him 3rd in the class. Then he loses the lap, does he not?
Yeah, straight away, wasn't it? As soon as it popped up, it was taken away. And track limits turn 5. That's one of the less common areas. It's where we're looking at now on the exit. Cars running wide there, and that's where the Lotus, the other yellow car on track right now, lost its lap.
So running wide, you're not gaining in terms of corner cutting, but you are in terms of keeping up the momentum, and that's why people do it. Let the car flow, because the more room you've got, the less braking you're doing. So up towards turn 9 now goes the drone, chasing after McLaren and BMW, and we're looking at the Porsche number 31 here, the car out of the WNS Motorsport stable of Ismail Elahi, another of the newcomers this weekend. He's been racing in the Porsche Sport Club Germany contest, and his co-driver Tim Horrell did some GT4 Winter Series at the start of the year.
Very legal on the track limits as well. Most drivers cutting more at 13. Huge snap of oversteer turning in there. Love it when drivers wear a light coloured glove so you can see it working behind the wheel from these exterior shots. But it's a very quick final corner here at Barcelona now.
Interesting as well, isn't it, when you get people that drop in for the last round, because they've had little experience of this championship, or the people around them, they've raced in other things, but then you look at their lap times straight away in relation to the season-long regulars, and if they're mixing it, then you think, okay, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, and it's probably a toe in the water, isn't it, for the next season, see where they would be and what they should do. Modrica here crossing the line up to 9th, so fastest in Q2B, and is really a cat amongst the pigeons, isn't he, in that silver class running.
That's right, as over the timing line they still pour with just about 90 seconds or so to go. Thibaut Modrica's Ginetta now is the fastest out of Pro-Am, and he's up to 9th overall. That is good going. Well in and amongst the silvers then. So Thibaut Modrica, I think, has been the quicker of the 2 brothers this year, going 9th. Good effort. The best out of AM is still Daniel Blickler, now getting back ahead of Ali Al-Jafari, and then Ismail Elahi that we were looking at earlier, 3rd. This is Brandon Oxley, former single-seater racer, sharing in the number 16 Mercedes with Marc de Fulgencio, Spanish driver. So Brandon Oxley, like many, thinking now about whether GTs is the way to go, and putting a toe in the water at Barcelona this weekend. He goes through, and 16 fastest. That car slightly slower on that lap by 2 or 3 tenths, but still in the mix. This is the fastest car in this part of the session. Thibaut Modrica then, best in Pro-Am.
And still improving as well on the sector times. maybe going to get a bit of traffic with that Supra in front, and has probably had to overtake that BMW, of course, of Olsen there. And yeah, look, 4.2 seconds loss, and this will be the lap that he takes the checker anyway, so potentially going to box as the rear tyres scream for mercy.
And of course, were this to be the race, he'd have another 50 minutes still to do, or the car would, on that set of tyres. So then as the cars come up towards the checkered flag, there the silvers that are already done, parked, they will go to scrutineering. And Mackenzie Cresswell has taken the outright pole, Thibaut Mojica Pro-Am, and Daniel Blickler provisionally, barring anything anybody can do right at the very end. But you would say that's looking unlikely, given, as Joe makes the point, tyres are starting to scream for mercy. 99 Toyota coming up towards the line. Cindy Goudet, who is fifth in class, done really well there, the former hill climb champion in the Toyota. It's had the odd big knock during the course of the season, but Cindy Goudet goes by in the Toyota Supra, then to end on that last lap slightly quicker and up to third in Pro-Am. So really good job done by Cindy Goudet.
Yep, it's been a good day so far for her, and she will look forward to the race tomorrow that this qualifying is for, of course, but race 1 from Q1 positions, of which this car, sister car, of course, is going to be on pole position. Starts 5:30 local time this evening.
Yeah, Ali Al-Jafari then chases the BMW towards us. We've seen him racing in the UK in Ginettas. That's Anthony de Barnes' BM up the road, and that's fighting for AM class honours. So Ali Al-Jafari comes through and has backed out of it, I think, realising that he ain't going to go any quicker and the flag's out anyway, so that's pretty much his session done.
Maybe Jafali just going offline there to see what it would be like in the race. The gravel that's been brought on there is it's the most we've seen the marshals sweeping the circuit every session, but that's just brought on during a qualifying, so by the end of the race that will be quite a interesting point to keep an eye on.
Well, indeed, as the flag then shown, the drivers making their way down the pit lane. Very busy pit lane, very busy paddock here at the Circuit de Catalunya, with GT2, 3 and 4 cars, plus Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So if you're a GT fan, perfect weekend this. Sunshine, 2-hour flight, and great cars up and down the paddock, and also supercar demonstration laps over the course of the weekend. So no wonder it's busy for a Saturday, and lots of people planning on coming tomorrow for main race day. Watch the Endurance GT World Challenge Europe finale as well. So the field being waved through the pit lane, back to the paddock, the cars that the scrutineering team need being held. And as Joe makes the point, the field will be on track again later on in the day for a race that's 5:15 local time. Tomorrow they race at 1:05, and the final 2 races of the season. Let us hear from Rima Jafali next, because she was quickest in her class for race 1 in the AMS. Double pole, therefore, in that race for Elite. She's with Alex Legui.
Hello, Rima. Lovely to chat to you, and what a great opportunity to chat to you as well, as you popped it on top. Good result for McLaren.
Yeah, super happy, honestly. Like, came into this weekend, first one race with my brother, first time in the McLaren GT4. The team really put together a good car, and we were really like trying to slowly progress over the weekend, and I think we both put it all together in qualifying. So yeah, happy with what we have, and now we just kind of focus on the race and hope for a good result there too.
Good, really chuffed for you. Thank you.
Good job done by Rima Jafali, who, when she first sort of came to prominence in the UK in single-seaters, struggled and had a tough learning curve, but the more experience all pays dividends. Let's look then at the order at the end of Q2. Mackenzie Cresswell outpacing Hadrian David and Charlie Hart. Robert Consony 4th from Sergio Nicolai, then Paul Petit only 6th. Gabriele Piana suggesting the BMWs are struggling for pace, only 7th, ahead of Michiel Haverant's Mustang. Then the Ginetta heading Pro-Am, Thibaut Mojica ahead of Adrian Schwartz. Then you've got Pedro Ibrahim's BM from Mark Kastelich, and looking a little bit further down to 13th, Porsche number 27, another of the guesting cars, Alfa Rasa, second in Pro-Am, and third Brandon Oxley in his Mercedes, going well also. Daniel Blickler heading Ali Al-Jafari in AM, with Ismail Elahi third in the class, Anthony de Barnes fourth, the significance of that being 317 BMW versus 30 Porsche for the championship. But Mackenzie Cresswell taking a second pole of the season and doing a good job as well. See Ajit Kumar, 39th for the first time this year, with a co-driver, sharing on the entry list with Roman Wozniak in the AV racing car. Normally we've been used to seeing Ajit Kumar driving on his own, but for this weekend, deciding a co-driver is the way to go. So qualifying for GT4 is done, and you can imagine one or two of the teams now starting to moan a little bit about their relative lack of pace, and it's never down to the team or the cars. It's always going to be down to the BOP, isn't it? So expect some conversations to happen. So at the end of Q2, we can have a look at how the session panned out, with the first 10 minutes being given over to the Silvers, and way off the road went the Audi of Robert Constantly, the rally man, going back to his roots. That didn't compromise matters too much. Sergio Nicolai was looking good in the ink-splattered Audi, getting that car up to the top 5. Charlie Hart was pressing on at one stage, looking as though pole position was in his reach, but again the car just dropped away slightly towards the end, and Mackenzie Cresswell mirrored what his co-driver Josh Rattigan had done to go fastest of all. Then it was the turn of the Pro-Ams and the Ams to take to the circuit, and Daniel Blickler looking good in Am. The number 16 Mercedes, though, in the hands of Brandon Oxley, was competitive in Pro-Am as well. So also was Arthur Rassa in his AV Porsche. We're all set then for race 1 at 1:15, and it promises to be a really good one.